What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we're going to check out the brand new FLAGSHIP plugin from ML Sound Lab. Let's do it! Okay, hope you guys are doing great out there. As I said, today I'm very excited because we get to check out the brand new FLAGSHIP plugin from ML Sound Lab. As you can probably tell by the aesthetic, this plugin is based around a number of different Friedman amps. So if you've never gotten to experience a $4,000 Friedman in the room, this, I can already tell you, is a very good approximation. Not even really an approximation. It's pretty much dead on as to what these amps would sound like recorded in your mix. This plugin is great. I have owned the JJ100 or the double J100, which is included in this plugin. I've also extensively played a BE100 Deluxe. The only amp in this plugin that I have not played is the Naked. Now each amp has a couple of different settings. With the Deluxe and the JJ100 or the double J100, you're going to get a lead, a dirty, and a clean. And what that kind of equates to in real life with these Friedman amps, you're going to get a lead or an HBE channel, or on the JJ it's the JBE channel, which is really just a switch, but either way it is a completely different setting. The dirty is basically going to be your BE channel on either amp, and then the clean is going to be your clean. Here at Belligerent Amateur Studios, we don't do cleans, so we're not even going to touch those. You get a grand total of 8 different amp channels, essentially, that you can choose from with this plugin. So you're getting a lot for your money here. And as you can see, I'm on the Deluxe model. Go over here to the double J lead. Man, that's a good looking amp. And then you go down here to the dirty. 3 completely different amp models. All 3 have their own voicing. They are all very much Friedman. If you guys have never played a Friedman for yourself in real life, Friedmans are really nice, refined, dark, smooth, modded Marshall style amps. So if you're like me and you really like the raw, aggressive nature of the upper mids of a Marshall, Friedman stuff may not sit quite right with your ear for aggressive styles of music, but these amps sound incredible in their own way. They're dark, smooth, there's tons of harmonic content going on. They're very, it's really hard to put it into words. You just really have to be able to play it for yourself, to be honest, to be able to experience it. So, like I said, Miko did a great job on these. As somebody who has played 2 of the 3 amps on here extensively, I can tell you he absolutely nailed the feel and the sound on these things. So I'm a little short on time today, so I'm gonna jump into it and I'm gonna start showing you guys how this thing sounds. Before I get started, Miko did send me this plugin for free, but he did not ask me to do a video on it. He just asked me to check it out and to let him know my thoughts on it. But I think it's a great product. I'm more than happy to put a video out there for it. But just because it's free, just because Miko has kind of become a friend of mine, all of my thoughts and opinions are going to be honest. They are going to be my own, so please keep that in mind, guys. All right, so let's get into some tones. Let's go back to that Friedman Brownie lead. So as you can tell, very saturated, very compressed, pretty dark. All right, there's definitely a lot of saturation. You've got a whole slew, yes, slew of switches down here on the bottom. There's the S switch, which changes your gain structure. There's the fat switch, which really fattens the amp up, which in my opinion is really meant for single coils. If you're playing single coils on a Friedman, the fat switch really helps retain the fullness of your tone with the single coil pickups, which tend to be a lot thinner. So for humbuckers, for me, thrash guy, not going to use it. If you're playing a little bit more modern stuff down tune, you're definitely not going to use it because these amps are already pretty big on the low end. You're not going to need it. C45. Now, as I mentioned in my BE100 demo, the C45, not exactly sure what it does internally, but I know that it kicks in a little bit brighter voicing on the amp. So we have it engaged. Let's kick it off. When you kick it off, it removes a lot of the high mids. I actually really like it when it's on, so we're going to leave that on. Saturation switch, we have it engaged. When you have it engaged, it puts some clipping diodes in the circuit. So we're going to disengage. Now we're going to engage it, maybe. So that smooths the amp out even more, seems to add a tiny bit of compression, but it also adds some saturation. So if you're feeling the amp's not saturated enough, kick that saturation switch in, puts those diodes in the circuit. No, not all diodes are created equally. It all depends on how they're implemented. If you guys use tube screamers out front, I don't even want to hear the diode argument. Over here, we've got the V on the presence, which I'm pretty sure that this just either changes the sweep or changes the frequency that the presence knob operates at. So pretty big difference between V3, V1, and V2. V2 seems to be the most open, so I'm going to leave it there. Here on the thump, you've got an F switch, which I believe does the same thing. I could be wrong. I don't recall from when I played the amp, but it does make a pretty big difference there. We're going to put it in F3 because that's where I like it. That's a nice sounding amp. Okay, and then over here you've got your master volume and you've got an R switch. Again, unfortunately, I don't know what the R switch does, but I know that it does make a massive difference. Changes the EQ up and the response quite a bit. In the middle is where I like it the best. That sounds great. So yeah, we haven't even really touched the dials on here, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to dig into that too much, or else this video is going to be a year long. I can just tell you that it sounds good. The EQ responds the same way that Friedman EQ responds, and Friedman EQs are a little different than Marshall EQs. The treble and the presence has a lot more range in it, whereas on most Marshall amps, when you have the treble and presence dialed up, you're stabbing yourself in the ears. They tend to be very bright that way. So the treble and presence operate at different frequencies. So does the middle frequency. So really everything is well balanced, and you don't have to travel too far from noon in order to get where the amp is going to sound its best on any of the EQ dials. So very, very true to the real amps. Let's go to the dirty channel. All right, so a lot thinner here. Let's turn the gain up. Let's get a little bit more bass on it, and let's pull that presence back. And yeah, easy as that, and yeah, got a great sounding tone. Oh, that's fun. Let's turn that saturation switch. Let's turn the sat switch off. And I completely forgot to mention, I should have put this right up front. I have the overdrive on. This pedal board setting on the amp has all the familiar faces that you're used to seeing if you play any of the ML Sound Lab plugins. These pedals show up on pretty much every one of them. I believe the chorus might be new, or it was new to the CB4, but anyways, yeah, you've got a number of options here. I've got the drive on, boosted as a tube screamer and a noise gate, nothing else. And then down here, one of my favorite parts of the plugin, you have an awesome cab sim setup where you can now move the mics around, you can move them back and forth, side to side, get lots of different tonal options in the plugins. I really, really dig what Mikko has done here, and I think that this has been implemented really, really well. His IRs always sound great, so this is a nice feature as well. Right Right now in stock form, we've got the Mega Gent, which I believe is like a Mesa cab with a V30, and then the Mars, which is a Marshall PR-M75, which I believe is a Celestion Creamback M75. I could be wrong. Miko, correct me if I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. So we're going to actually change this over to the Friedman V30 because I like that one a little better. It's a little brighter, and I like my tones bright. So yeah, you can play with that a lot, but I really like what we've got going on right now. I don't want to touch it too much. Lots of string clarity, lots of definition. That's a really nice sounding amp. Let's go over to the Double J lead. That sounds great as well. Let's back that gain down a little bit. Get a little bit more middle on there. Turn the master up because this seems a little compressed. Turn the thump up. Now, from what I remember from owning a Double J for a few years, this seems a little bit darker than the real amp, maybe. I may just be misremembering, but I don't remember it being quite that dark on the top end. But the compression and the gain level, that all feels right on. The feel of the amp feels like it should. So this seems pretty accurate. It just seems a little dark, but it could also be the cab sim that I'm using too, so keep that in mind. No switches to play with on this amp. One thing I like about it, it's a little bit more simple than the Deluxe, so not as much guesswork involved in trying to get a good tone. Double J Journey, which is where I tend to live on that amp when I owned it. This is basically the BE channel with some slight modification off of BE 100. Really, really good sounding. We got plenty of gain there. This is just a thicker sounding version of the BE in general. So there's that. That one sounds great. Let's go down to the Nude Dirty, or the Flagship Nude. All right, so that one sounds the darkest, but it also sounds the least compressed, which is weird. It seems like there's more frequency going on. It seems wider overall than the other two amps. Seems like it needs some more treble. Let's bump that treble and let's get a little bit more mid on there. There's a structure switch on this one, but that's it. We're gonna leave it in S2 because that's where I like the structure switch on these amps. Oh, that's pretty gnarly sounding. It's a little dark, a little boxy for my tastes. Friedmans tend to be a little boxy in the low mids. It fills them out a little bit, but it's not my personal favorite. Let's mess around with the cab just a little bit on this one, see if we can't dial in something a little bit more lively. All right, so that sounds pretty good. Let's go over to the Ribbon 160. The Ribbon 160 mic, the Bear Dynamic, always seems to sound a little bit more natural to my ears than the 421. It's a little darker though, so let's move it towards the center. Oh, that sound, there we go. That sounds good. That's all we really had to do. Now I'm happy. That sounds great, guys. That sounds really thick and full. I feel like if you blended the Naked with the Deluxe, you would have a really nice full sound, nice and balanced, because the Deluxe is brighter, it's a lot middier. The Nude is very full, it's a little boxy in the mids, but it's got a lot more, it's just got a broader spectrum of frequencies going on, and it's a little darker up top, so I feel like those two amps would complement each other nicely in a mix to balance everything out. The cab sim, like I said, top notch, man. You've got a few options here and the option to load a custom IR, but these options here are nice because they're the speakers that you most likely would want to use with these amps anyways, and it doesn't cause option paralysis. You've got 4 different speakers and you've got 4 different mic choices per speaker. You've still got 16 choices per side. You've got the option to blend them, so it may not seem like a lot when compared to some other plugins or IR modelers or something, but I think you get plenty here. They're all well done, they're all quality, and it gives you enough to really fine-tune that tone and dial in what you want to go for. So again, guys, this plugin's awesome. If you guys don't have 12 grand laying around to buy these 3 Friedmans and try them in your studio on top of all the cabs and mics and everything, I really feel like this plugin nails the spirit of the Friedman amps. It sounds pretty much dead on from what I would remember from playing these individual ones. I recently did a BE100 demo and a Butterslacks demo, and both amps on there, they sound and feel very much like these plugins. So again, awesome job, Miko. Keep killing it, man. I can't wait to see what you come out with next. Thanks again for letting me check this out. I really appreciate it. If you guys like videos like this, you like high gain amps, plugins, cabs, overdrives, all sorts of stuff like that, I take that stuff, I record them, I give you guys the raw audio so you can form your own opinions, usually playing like E standard thrash riffs and stuff like that. So if that's stuff that you guys are into, would really appreciate you hitting that like button, subscribing so you don't miss the next one. I really appreciate you guys being here. I really appreciate a lot of things because I keep saying it. Kyle here again. We'll see you guys next time.